Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Fazal Khaliq and I will be teaching you Introduction to Psychology. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a foundation course in Introduction to Psychology where you will understand the literal meaning of psychology and the definition of psychology, plus you will come across what are the different schools and perspectives in psychology and many more things. Let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a question from you, that is, what comes to your mind when you hear the word psychology? Maybe to you, psychology is something related to mental disorders, like people who are suffering from mental disorders, like the person who is mentally retarded. So you believe that this is something related to psychology. Or maybe you are talking about psychology in a sense that this is related to something intelligence or something else. Today I will make you clear that what is psychology actually and what are different things. It is true that psychology is related to mental disorders, but in psychology we study mental disorders. If we divide psychology into 100%, so we study mental disorders in a subject, and the name of the subject is mental health and psychopathology. Mental health and psychopathology or psychopathology. And we also study these disorders in another subject, that is clinical psychology. But psychology is not related to mental disorder, right? So let's get started from the very first definition. Okay, before starting the definition, let's talk about some of the important schools and perspectives of psychology, and who generated these perspectives. So the first was generated by William Bunge and Edward B. Teichner, and the name of the first was structuralism. Then there is functionalism, you can see on your screens, generated by William James. Psychoanalysis, Carl Jung, Alfred Adler, Erikson, Sigmund Freud. Behaviorism, John B. Watson, B. F. Skinner, Ivan Pavlov, Edwin Thorndike, Albert Bandura. Gestalt psychology or Gestalt perspective by Max Wertheimer, Kurt Kafka, Wolfgang Kohler. Then cognitive approach or cognitive perspective, generated by Aaron Beck and Albert Ellis. And then there is humanism, generated by Carl Roger and Abraham Maslow. And then there is existentialism or existential perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, we will talk about these all schools and perspective in detail in the coming lectures, but today our aim and objective is to talk about the definition and the basic understanding of psychology. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see on your screen that psychology is the scientific study of human behavior and mental processes. If you want to understand psychology, so we must understand these two terms, right? That is human behavior and mental processes. Now first of all, to understand human behavior, let's talk about what is behavior in psychology, right? So behavior is basically, it refers to the actions and moments, like the actions and moments you make. The actions are the moments you make. For example, now I'm making this action, that I'm talking, now you are listening, so these both are behaviors. You are crying, you are smiling, so these are behaviors. Now what is human behavior? So definitely the actions and moment made by the humans, those are called human behavior. Now what is mental processes? Mental processes is a process that takes place in the mind, right? And that is like behavior is followed by the mental process. For example, I will tell you with one example. Suppose now I am talking to you, and behind my talking or behind my speech production, there is mind which is responsible for the production of my speech. There is Broca area, Wernicke area, and the brain. There is the physical areas which are responsible for the production of speech. Or if I am talking now, so there is a process in the mind that takes place. For example, in the brain it also takes place, like neurons and neurotransmitters, and these all things are transferred, and these are carried from the peripheral nervous system to the central nervous system and to the brain, into these connections, and it generates a behavior. So that is mental processes. Now let me differentiate two terms you may have heard and you are still confused about those terms, like what is behavior, what is the difference between behavior and attitude. So I will differentiate these with one example. Behavior is basically the things which are observable, and attitude is basically the internal way of thinking, like what is your thinking inside your mind about someone. For example, I am meeting someone and I am having smile on my face, so this is behavior. But what I am thinking inside my mind, that is the attitude. People use attitude in a very incorrect sense, like your attitude is not good, but that is not attitude, that is etiquette or behavior, right? Or we can say that it's social behavior, and the thing which happens inside the mind, those are called attitude. I hope that you have learned basic things like the difference between attitude and behavior, and the definition of psychology. Let's talk about the word psychology literal mean. So it is taken from two words, like the first is psyche or psycho, and the second is logi or logos, right? So psyche or psycho means soul, and logos means study. So in the past, like in Greek times, it used to be the study of soul, but later on, with the passage of time, it became a different science, and it was emerged from the philosophy, and now it is available in the form of science, so you can study it. Thank you very much. I hope that you have learned a lot of things. See you in the next lecture. Up till that time, Allah Hafiz.